And now we find a couple guys that can play a little bit of both ways too, which, I mean, you don't have to do a lot of it with it, but there's tight ends that can play DN or DN. I think we have some DNs that maybe can play a little bit of role of a tight end too.
Rich Rodriguez is talking about something that not a lot of teams do, and it's because of roster cuts, man. He keeps talking about cutting this roster down. He's not happy.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome to Locked On West Virginia. Thanks for joining in, guys, as we go live 8:30 on a Monday. How you doing? How you doing? Going to be brought to you by FanDuel, guys. Did you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, even though I just said it twice? Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets. That's if you win that first $5 bet. Make sure you head to FanDuel.com to get started. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your very first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. Well, I got thoughts, and I mean, I'm not shocked. We've heard Rich Rodriguez talk about the 105 number a lot this offseason. And for those of you who don't know exactly what that's referencing, it's so all teams have to get down to 105 roster limit, right? And that includes walk-ons, I'm told. So it's a stress for a guy in the first year like Richrod is. If you're in year 2 or year 3 and you've got a little bit more depth on your roster, then I think this is not as stressful as a situation. But, it's like they're going to have to cut some good players, or some good players are going to have to play both ways, and that's kind of where they're at with it. He was on Three Guys Before the Game today and had a lot to say, man. And it was a pretty cool interview. I got a lot out of it, and I got a lot written down here we'll go over. And also, what about the new basketball stuff that's going out left and right, man? This staff is getting after it. Let's just be honest. They are doing one heck of a job. And, I mean, I'm not shocked. It's just that, you kind of expected it, but the amount of offers that have gone out are a little bit more than I expected at this point in time. So we're going to talk about that too, because as you guys know, you may not know, but you can probably not be shocked that I spent a lot of the day today researching a couple of these new players that we reached out to and getting into contact with a couple of those guys. Because you know what? We got shot, man. And Mike Casazza went to Indianapolis today. And I think it's Indianapolis to watch the NIT Final Four, which will be tomorrow. And he did an interview with Ross Hodge, our new coach. And so there was some interesting stuff that he had as well. 32 Blueprint. What's up, guys? Make sure you guys check them guys out, man. They do an excellent job over there. So here's where I'm at with this. Obviously, Rich Rodriguez has had to construct a roster with very little at Jacksonville State. We know he did it when they were in Division II, before they were 1AA, before they moved into the Division I, and they've had to do similar things. I looked back, and they had a few guys that played both ways on those rosters. So it's something that he's done before. Doing it at the Power 4 level, a totally different monster to take on. But let's go over just a few of the things that Richrod talked about today that I consider to be pertinent. And then segment 2, we'll get into these basketball transfers, and I'll break down some of their tape like I told you guys I would yesterday, because the offers are going out. Ross Hodge is doing 2 jobs right now. It's a wild situation. He's coaching North Texas in the NIT Final Four in the daytime, and then the evening time he's offering people for West Virginia. So a unique situation for a basketball coach. Let's jump into this as we talk a little bit of Richrod first. He ain't giving nothing up. We know this. It was funny. Tony Caridi asked him. Apparently, the offense looked pretty good at times on this during the scrimmage, the 90-play scrimmage that they had, which we saw some of those highlights today from the Twitter account over on Football. If you didn't check that out, saw people making plays. Nico making plays. Jaheim White made a couple plays. We've seen definitely Cam Bond made a couple plays. So Jacob Barrick made a play. Like there were people if you watch the cut up, there was quite a few offensive players on there. Richrod would not go there. He said it was horrible. He said it was the defense were making. It was really the defense's fault. It had nothing to do with the offense. There is just nothing positive coming out about this spring from him. He won't, and he's too afraid to mention players because he's paranoid. He's too afraid to mention even anything besides the offensive line, it seems like, and how bad they've been. I realize that a lot of this is a little bit of coach speak, but I do believe, guys, that our roster is at a very, very in advanced point right now to where we need to improve fast. And I need to hear. So luckily I'm plugged into a couple of the players that say it's not as bad as Richrod says, but I think here's my thought on this. I think last year at Jack State, they had a similar number of players in the portal come in, correct? And they started off 0-3, and he felt like they were okay. He said this publicly the other day. Did they roll off, 8-9 win games in a row? Yes, they did. And did they win the conference? Yes, they did. But he felt like they were okay. So now he's, I think, extra paranoid at feeling okay, and he's going in a little harder on this roster so that he doesn't get to a point to where it's like, okay, we're all right. I think we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. So, as I wrote here, not pleasantly surprised, it seems, Richrod, every time he talks. With the Saturday scrimmage, he also referenced the bad defense. He's unhappy with the depth and the competition. So I think if you're talking starters, I think we're probably okay at a lot of spots. But depth and competition, two things we just don't have right now because of the lack of depth. It's a twofold problem there. Slowed down because everyone is new on the O-line, talking about the amount of obviously the playbook is the playbook, but you can only install so much of it when you have an inexperienced offensive line. This is the reference, right? The offensive line, unfortunately, is behind, guys, and they're unable to install more plays. We need this dose of reality, guys. I've bought into the Kool-Aid way too many times in the last few years and been absolutely crushed for it with Neil Brown. So I'm going to listen to what he's saying, because I would rather have my expectations here and get over than think we're going to win 10 games in year one. It's just not likely to happen, at least where I'm sitting. Maybe you guys disagree. So he said they've got to reduce what they wanted to do because of the O-line. Quote, that's a quote from Richrod. He said this spring is, quote, not as frustrating as some of the other springs. Like the other, I think he's had, they were able to count out between Tulsa, Clemson, Arizona, Michigan, West Virginia, other places he's been. He's done probably, somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10, 11, maybe 12 of these first-year springs. He said, quote, not as frustrating as some of the other springs, but still more frustrating than it should be. Take that for what you will. I think, a lot of it has to do with, let's just be honest. When Neil Brown left, I think a few more players left than they wanted to, than they thought were going to. We even had our guys that were poised to roll over on the offensive line, especially got hit, all right? Kyle Altuner, who was probably going to be a star, right? He's gone to Virginia Tech. Wyatt Milam obviously goes to the draft. We lost Zach Frazier last year, Doug Nestor the year before. So, we've had this steady loss of these excellent all caliber, you could say those guys are all in that Dan Moses spectrum, right up there with one of the greatest offensive linemen, especially Zach Frazier and Wyatt Milam. We'll just never have two guys playing at the same time that good, probably in a long ever, maybe. Zach Frazier has turned out to be the best rookie center in the league last year. Wyatt Milam, in my opinion, will be one of the best players in the league too whenever he gets set. So, I mean, he didn't give a sack for 3 years, guys. It's just not, it's not normal. So I think that it's a dose of reality. I think that, needing to have players play both ways because of the roster cuts is, while not shocking, it's absolutely probably necessary at certain spots. He went on to mention defensive end and tight end and how those can be interchangeable. Let's hope they get it right, guys, because I think this season could be harder than it has to be otherwise. So we'll see. And look, they got money. And I told you, they're going to go out and get a dozen to 15 more guys for the spring portal period. And they're going to cut some players that probably would play other years, maybe they're a year away, some of them. Like, they're going to have scholarship guys get cut. I'm telling you this. It's the way it is. We've been forced into the corner. And like he said, you got to have the best 105, whatever that looks like. Your best 105. I might be a couple guys short in the O-line room because I got too many good corners or whatever, right? But you're going to keep the best 105 in this situation in year one. It's kind of like, one of the rules in the NFL draft is, do you draft need or do you draft quality, right? Some people say you draft your biggest need. Other people say, no, you take the best player available. So kind of like that. I do like the under promise over deliver, JDK, but I just think that he's been so negative that it's starting to impact me as a fan. And maybe it's working, but I would rather be like this than like I was last year, just flat out. I don't want to be like last year. Let's go to break. We're a little overdue for break. On the other end, guys, I've got some new players to break down for you in the portal. Can I just say that Ross Hodge is going Hodge wild in the portal, even though he's coaching North Texas? We'll talk about all that next, guys. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by none other than our friends over at FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action, because right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when that first $5 bet wins. That's $200 in extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. Guys, I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to win back with the spreads, totals, and game props. When tournament games happening almost every day, there's almost something exciting to bet on. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action and do it all tournament long, baby. It's segment 2. Crack a Starbucks? That's right, guys. I have a Starbucks. It's got a green top on it, though. Is that close to a do? I don't know. I got paid today, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to splurge on myself, and I got a little vanilla latte for the stream tonight. For those of you out there, yes, it's 8:43. Yes, I'm going to drink this. This is a judgment-free zone on this end of the camera. Maybe on that end of the camera, you guys may judge, and that's okay if that's what you want to do. I'm up at 9 o'clock at night. As a 40-year-old man, I'm 40. I'm up at 9 o'clock at night, and I'm doing stuff for you guys, and I'm doing things for you guys. I can drink a little Starbucks if I want to. Okay, so let's talk a little b-ball really quick because we got a lot to monitor, guys. We may have a situation coming up here pretty soon where we'll be monitoring basketball and football portal action at the same time. And here's the dealio. I'm excited about it. I have some intel. I'm making headway in the basketball space, especially. So Discord going to become really important for some of you. If you want to join my Discord, Raven's in here. She can drop. Shaq's in here. He can drop the Discord server chat thing. Sorry, I forget the name of it sometimes. And join up. And there's the mascot. There's the mascot jumping up on the back of the chair. What a crazy stream this is turning out to be already. All right, guys, let's talk a couple of these portal hopeful acquisitions. There's some really fun ones on here today that I think have a chance to be really good players if we get them. And a couple of these are North Texas players that I touched on, but I haven't gone fully over yet. So we're going to talk about a couple of these over again, but we're just going to touch on them briefly, and I'll dive deeper into, a little bit more of the other players, So, Mike, it's not your life, brother. It's mine. If I want to die before 50, then I will. Dom McHenry, 15 points per game, guys. Really good player. Is somebody that I really enjoyed watching when I was breaking down some of his tape. He is, by the way, Western Kentucky player, 6'2", 185 pounds, 15 points per game. He is an elite shooter, can really spray it. He's a lefty. He's got a very pretty jumper. He's extremely fast, so he's good in transition. He's got a really good floater that I've got underlined as elite on here. He's a transition monster. He's got logo range. Just a couple things about him. And Western Kentucky has been in the tournament, and he's been a part of big reason for that. Really impressed with what I saw to him. West Virginia's got an offer out to him, as he's considering a lot of teams. This would have been a perfect addition for last year's team. And I don't mean to bring them up a lot, but if we would have had a guy like this, to kick it to on the edge instead of Powell, who went cold every other night, I don't know, man. I think we needed it, but we just didn't have that guy like this that's a high percentage 3-point shooter. So we would be nice to have him this year. Brian Moore is the next guy on this list, and man, he's really impressive too. All these guys are good, right? Because they're going to be moving up. Some of them should have already been up, but he started out at Northeastern Oklahoma A&M, where he was the National Junior College All-American Division I, after scoring 21 points a game, 5.2 assists per game. Then he went to Murray State, played for the Racers for a couple years. He's from New York, guys. And then this past year at Norfolk State, he averaged 18 points a game, 3.5 rebounds per game, 3 assists while shooting 57% and almost 40% from three, and it shows up on tape. He's great around the rim, I have here. Loves the elbow. He's really good from the mid-range, which I have excellent mid-range game underlined. I also have underlined can't leave him open. He's also got logo range. 55% from the field overall. I'm sorry, 35% from three overall, 55% from the field. He's also got a 19% assist rate, which is pretty good. He's also 6'2", right around 190 pounds. And, at both these guys are a little undersized, in my opinion, for Big 12. But at point guard, you can be a little undersized as long as you're big everywhere else, in my opinion. Like I say, I don't mean to bring this up a lot. And none of these guys are Marquise Noel from Kansas State a few years ago, but he was an undersized player, right? And so you can do it, but you really don't want to skimp anywhere else. And 6'2" is not small. It's just not big. And some of these guards in this conference will just eat you alive at 6'5", 6'6", 6'4". So moving on to Themis Falks. And I don't know if I'm saying that first name right. It's spelled Themus Falks. Another 6'2" guard, guys. I mean, listen, we've seen this with Connor Way from Troy. We've seen it from Jason Edwards at Vanderbilt, who was just probably the best player on the list. We went over him already as well. We've seen this with a couple other guys. They've gone after a few of these 6'2", 6'3"-ish size guards. Terrence Brown, another one from Fairleigh Dickinson. So, this is obviously They're all similar type players. Some can shoot better than others. Some are better passers, like they're different versions of the same size player. They're all really quick, can play in transition fast. Good. A lot of them are really good at running offense. So, they're just different versions. Fulks is, average 14-6, which is really good. He's a good player. I've got decent finisher, a good but not elite athlete, in my opinion, and a great passer, a really good passer. It's his strongest thing. So he is more of a facilitator, absolutely. And I think, did I say where he came from, by the way? If I didn't, I apologize. Trying to keep up with all these names at once is not ideal, So he is from, I think he is the one that's from UNC. Let me see if I got it right here, I believe. Well, I lost it, guys. Sorry. I've got a couple of these are from X and a couple of these are from another couple websites. Is this him? Nope, not him. Anyway, I think he's from CSUN. It said CSUN on his jersey. So I'm trying to remember where that is. But and then you've got the North Dakota State players. One of these I didn't cover the other day. Let me see where we're at on time here. Let's go to break. We'll cover these other guys in a second. We got two North Dakota State players to cover and one other guy to cover. Stick around, guys. We'll do that next. Like I said, a lot of players, a lot of offers from West Virginia, and all these players have a West Virginia offer. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys. So back into this portal action a little bit here. Brennan Laurent. Well, he is by far the biggest guy on this list. 6'9". He'll be playing tomorrow in the NIT Final Four. I've got monster athlete underlined, and I really can't say that enough. He is a monster athlete. He's one of those guys that if he's in transition, it's look out below. He can bounce his head off. He's an elite athlete. He really is. I know I throw that word elite around a lot, but I mean, this guy can bounce his head off the rim. Like, he is that athletic. He dunks it all over. He just, everywhere you look, he's dunking it. It's like his whole cut up. So he's like what I consider to be, what would I compare him to? Maybe like a Darvin Ham if you watched any kind of basketball in your life, for the Bucks or the Raptors. If you haven't watched him play, then maybe like a Joe Alexander from a few years back from West Virginia. Is he as good of an offensive player as Alexander? No. Because Alexander had the post game going on. Just from an athleticism standpoint, he's similar to that. He gets out in transition and hits his head off the rim. They run, what they'll do is they'll use him in screens, and he'll roll out and hit his head off the rim, dunking the ball. Like, he really gets up there. Really enjoyed watching him play a lot. He's the glue to their team, 11 points a game. So it's not like he doesn't score much. He can finish as well around the rim. It's not just dunks. And he's an incredible defensive player, one of the best in the conference. So that's, and you'll see that with North Texas tomorrow. That's pretty much his game. He plays really good defense and is a rim running type player that can shoot. He also shoots threes a little. Like, he's not as bad as Sincere Harris, but he's probably more like Toby O'Connie or somebody, a guy that can hit it if you leave him alone, but it's not a specialty at all. Jasper Floyd is the next North Texas player, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens with him because they're giving an extra year of eligibility to JUCO players. As we know, a lot of people are expecting to get this, but you can't guarantee any one player is going to get it. He qualifies from what we understand. So Jasper Floyd is a 6'3" guard. He's left-hand ball dominant, guys, and what I mean by that is he uses his left a lot. I watched game footage in the one game that I watched, and it's not really a fair comparison, but like in one game, he drove left every time, almost every time. So I assume that's probably how he plays most of the time. Hopefully he can develop that right a little bit. He can shoot, not an elite shooter, very good defender. He finishes around the rim really well, but he's very similar to Lorient. The way they built their team there at North Texas this year, as you can see, they're grinding it out. They literally grind people to a halt on defense. They have it's Houston, and then it's them on defense this year. Like, they're that good. They're a top 3 defense in the country, and they recruit the athletes to be able to do that. And I think it's smart at North Texas to do, because you can't always recruit the best offensive talent on a place like that, but you can recruit these grinders that are big athletic kids that maybe can't score a punch. Floyd falls into that category, and they would be great depth pieces. Although probably I would say Brennan Lorient would have a chance to start. Definitely probably be more like a 6th or a 7th guy, in my opinion. The last guy we're talking about here is Keontae Jones, a 6'6", 192. I've got very good passer and offensive rebounder. Probably his best overall skills. He's a rim runner as well at 6'6", 192. A very good finisher, and he's a catch and shoot player. So what that means is, off the dribble, he can struggle. Catch and shoot is his wheelhouse, much like Jonathan Powell. If you let Jonathan Powell set up, catch and shoot, he can spray that. If you make him dribble, then you're cutting down the percentages, probably 10 to 15% in some cases. So guys like that, you want to make them dribble, right? You want to close out, make them make a decision. This guy here is that kind of person, but certainly, 6'6", 192. He's also a really good defender. A lot of these guys have that in common. So that's what they're doing at North Texas right now. And if you haven't seen Casaza and some of the stuff that he wrote about today, interviewing him, I thought there was some interesting stuff in there. This is absolutely one of those things that I would be watching, because I think they're mostly going to come with him as the staff. We went over the staff yesterday. Word is most of the staff is going to come. So that's something that I'm going to be looking for. Now, like I said yesterday as well, could A. Chester Frazier bump a guy off? Absolutely. Could another higher level guy bump a guy off? Absolutely. But for the most part, he's got this, the same staff for a couple of years now. The age-old question, now that he's got more money, will he stay loyal to those same guys, or will he get, quote-unquote, better coaches? I think who knows. Certainly he's got connections, especially with Grant McCaslin and other people. So we'll definitely see what happens with it. But this staff is definitely working for West Virginia and North Texas at the same time. So I think that's pretty interesting. Make sure you might check Mike out on that, because he's the one that wrote the story. He's in Indianapolis. So a lot of interesting stuff. So really about all I got, guys. I think it's so interesting that Richrod wants to play two-way players. I don't know how it'll work, especially if you're talking about only DN and tight ends. But I have a sneaking suspicion that they're probably going to do it a couple places. No, I don't think they're going to do Rodney Gallagher that way, but we'll see. We'll have to see where it comes down to. I'm excited though. I am. I'm looking as, like I said, I'm making headway with some of these portal recruits. Some of them, so many of them go through agents now that it's almost impossible to get in contact with them, and the agents don't want to give much up. So doing my best. Make sure you head to the Discord though. By the way, they'll put the link in the chat. It's in the chat right now at 8:49. Thank you very much, Shaq. Guys, free right now. It's going to be free. Come portal season, it'll probably switch to, we'll have two separate rooms. One to where I give a lot of info, and then there's going to be another extra room where everything I know will go in there. So, and if you've been on here long enough, by now I think I've proven that I have my own sources and intel. So, looking forward to seeing you in there. Guys, like the video before you go. Check out that subscription button if you're new around here. Raven, Shaq, or the moderators, make sure you give them thank you for doing a good job. And that's all I really got, guys. Share the video, please. Hit that share button. Copy and paste the link. Post it different places. Just shove us down their throats. They'll eventually come watch us. Come and join the dark side. What's up, Timothy? That's all I got, guys. For those of you that I may have asked a question, I don't typically look at the chat a lot. I'm always reading off a bunch of different screens, and the way Locked On wants it to go is they kind of want it to be a smoother show, so that's what I'm trying to get done. That's all I got, though, y'all, and I'll see you on the next one. Make sure to be back tomorrow for the next live video. We'll have something to talk about. Until then, have a great rest of your week. I'm out.